Hey everybody, in this video we're going to be taking a look at how we can add volumetric effects and also bloom and lens flare to our motion design setups in Unreal Engine 5.5. And this is kind of the finished result we're going to be going after, but I have a starting point that doesn't have all the lighting effects applied, and we can use that to build up towards something like this. So I'll go to the content browser, and instead of volumetric demo, I'm going to double click on starting point level here and open that up. This is now the same geometry, the same scene setup, but none of the lighting effects are applied. And so you can see it's pretty mundane, not particularly interesting. But let's take a look at some of the things that are set up in here before we move on to the lighting effects. So I'm going to tap the C key to jump out of my camera. And now that I'm in perspective view, I can kind of off angle here. So this is the cyclorama that comes with the standard motion design templates. So that is in here, right? So that's the cyclorama. This is just a simple text actor here. And then I've got a static mesh of this Unreal Engine logo. And then the last bit of work here is that there is one cloner creating this pattern on the ground, right? So this is a regular polygon. So if I go into motion design mode, and here there's a regular polygon, that's what is created right here. And that has 6 sides to create a hexagon. There's a bevel size of 8 set onto that. That's giving us these rounded corners along with the bevel subdivisions. So we have these rounded corners. And then this is also operator stack activation here. We'll go into the modifiers. It's extruded so that we have some depth to this shape, and it's also beveled so we get this little bevel on the top and bottom edges. That basically gives us our shape overall. And that is inside a cloner. That cloner is set to a honeycomb pattern, so that way we can nestle the hexagons in alternating pattern with one another. And there's 50 by 50, so 250 so clones here. And finally, we have an effector that is moving these in the Z, vertical direction. So if I select the effector and scroll down here, it's effector 2, and you can see that there is a location strength of 10 and a modest frequency of 2, and then the pan value is just 1 in the Z direction. And so that's giving us this kind of undulating motion that's perpetually happening on the floor. That gives us this interesting little floor to catch some lighting and shadows and such. And then these particles that are floating around, those are just yet another cloner. They are cloning a small sphere, and the color of that sphere is actually set so that the red and the blue channels are set to like 300 in terms of their value. Like normally we go 0 to 1, but with a value like this 300, these are actually emitting light. So Illumine is turned on for this project, Megalights is on, and so the emissive values here, very high values above 1, are actually casting light into the scene, and so you're seeing that light getting caught by the various clones on the floor, as well as this logo as the particles float by. So that adds a nice little bit of dynamics, but we're lacking all of the volumetric and bloom and lens flare. So that's what we're going to be looking at with the rest of this tutorial. So again, I will click on my viewport and tap C so that we're looking through our main cine camera here. And the first and easiest thing to do is add some bloom and lens flare to our scene. And we can do that with the post-process volume that was created by the defaults. So again, this was the create defaults button, and it creates this post-process. I've already done that, so I'll cancel that now. And this Ava post-process is what results from that. And then here in the details, I'll go into search and I'll type in the word bloom. And let's scroll up, and the default method and intensity are here. I'm just going to activate these, and you can see as soon as I activate the intensity, we're getting some interaction already. I like to change this from standard to convolution. That gives us a bit more of like a little star pattern on these little points of light, and maybe the intensity is a bit much here at 0.65, so I'm going to knock that down to 0.25. There we go. So there we go. That's fine for the bloom. Now we're seeing a little bit of lens flare already, so let's take a look at that. That's also here in the post-process volume. So just type in the word flare into my search, and here's lens flare. And you can see the reason we're getting some lens flare is the default intensity is 1. So I'll activate this, and I can add to that, and now you can really see those lens flares. And I can also tint it. Right now the lens flare is just multiplying by a neutral value, 111, and so we get the same color that is coming from the lights. I'm actually going to tint this a little bluish here so that it gives us a little bit of color contrast in the lighting effects, and I think that's good enough, so I'll say okay to that. And there are other settings that you can explore that can enhance that lens flare, but this is fine for now. Let's get into the volumetrics of the effects. Right now we really have nothing to catch the light, so if I go ahead, and I'm still in motion design mode, and click on the light tools, and I'll double click on spotlight, I've created a spotlight. Where is that? Here it is in my outliner. I'm not seeing it here, and that's just because it's positioned. If I deactivate the search, it's positioned at 000, but my scene is actually quite a bit away from that for some reason. So I'm going to go ahead and take the spotlight. I'm going to drag it in the outliner to the text actor, and then I'll zero out the location offsets, and that should bring it right here. So that was 0 tab 0 tab 0, brings the light into view in front of the camera. And we just have white, and we have some intensity, and I can increase this intensity, and we see the effect of the light on the floor, but we're not seeing any volumetrics, and that's because we really don't have any fog to catch that lighting. So what I'll do here is go to this button here that lets me quickly add things to the this level in the project, and I'll type in the word fog, because we're going to use fog to catch that light, and I'll choose the exponential height fog actor. So it doesn't matter where that's located, that will affect our entire scene here. And with the exponential height fog selected, I need to activate its ability to pick up volumetric lighting. So in the search for the details, I'll type in the word volume, start typing in the word, yep, there we are. Volumetric fog is the setting that we would like to activate. And we can adjust these settings if we'd like to change the intensity and other characteristics of the fog. I'm just going to keep the defaults for now. But even with that activated, we're not seeing much or anything here, even though this light has a really high intensity. But the reason for that is that we can designate how much the individual lights contribute to the volumetric lighting. So if I select my spotlight here, and maybe drag it out from underneath that text. So now I can still have my search with VOL, and as a result I have volumetric scattering intensity, and by default that's 1, not really showing as much. So I can drag this up and still not showing as much. So I'm going to type in 1,000. And now you can see it, right? Okay, so we've got lots of volumetric intensity here, but there's no character color. There's nothing in the way of rays. It's just kind of like this blob of light. And there's also kind of a stepping pattern in here. So let's address all of those things. First of all, color. I'll go ahead and deactivate this search. And there's my lighting color. I will select that and tint this to a nice blue. Say okay to that, and then I'll go ahead and position this over here, and maybe rotate this in world space. So I'm just going to aim this up and then turn it towards the camera. And now again, it's just kind of like this blob of light, and I'd like that to be a little bit more interesting. Now in the real world, what we would do is put some kind of a patterned shield in, a gobo into the light to break that light up. And we're going to effectively do the same thing digitally here in Unreal Engine. So in the content browser, I'll just go double click on assets, and I've been practicing this, so I've got some materials that do this. So I'm going to delete this one because I don't think I'm using it, and I'll recreate that. So the method for adding a gobo to a light in Unreal Engine is to add a light function. So that's kind of the jargon in Unreal for effectively what is a gobo. So if I have the spotlight selected and I go to details and I go to search and I type in function, you'll see here there's this light function material slot where I can place light function material that can act as a gobo. So I have a texture, which is just a 2D image of some hexagons of varying grayscale values. So what I will do is create this light function material. So right click in my content browser. I'm going to create a material. I will call this LFM for light function material underscore demo, and enter, and Control S to save it, double click to open it, and nothing going on in here yet. I'm going to change the material domain from surface, that's for putting onto geometry, and I'm changing that to be a light function, which is effectively going to be our gobo. Next, I'll drag this 2D texture into the material. This could be any PNG file imported or JPEGs, anything you'd like. I'm going to use the RGB value and drag that into my emissive color, and that pattern is now applied. I can change this preview to a plane, and so you can see how that looks. Any values that are gray or white are going to allow the light to pass through. Anything that is black is going to block the light, just like if we were to put a hex pattern gobo onto our lighting instrument. So I'll go ahead and save that and close it, and then drag this light function material demo over to the slot in my light, and now you can see the intensity decreases because, well, we're attenuating with these grayscale values as well as the black values, so now we're getting to see some light rays coming through. That's cool. I'm going to deactivate this function filter and increase our intensity a bit more. We have is that 10,000, 100,000 as our intensity. I will go, let me change this to candles right now, 160 candles, right? So let's change that to 300. So now we have a nice bright light, and I will go ahead and use my move tool, holding down the Alt key and click and drag in the Y direction. That creates a second spotlight, and then we'll rotate that around in the opposite direction. And then let's add a little bit of color contrast. So I'll select the light color of blue and tint that to more of a golden orange amber. Say OK to that. And there we go. Maybe I will push the two of these. So shift selecting the two lights. And let's just set the location in X, which is front to back, to 500. That pushes it back a little bit. And maybe I can use the move tool here to drag these back a little bit. There we go. So you could see these are indeed even casting some shadow. I can make sure that volumetric shadows are turned on. You can see here in the details, cast shadows is on. And if I scroll down, we should be able to see volumetric shadow. Let me type in VOL. And cast volumetric shadow, let's make sure that is on, and that way any geometry that gets in front of these lights will result in shadowing as well. What else do I want to do here? I'm Control-Shift-S to save these changes so far. One of the other things that I'd like to do is maybe shine a little bit of light on the Unreal Engine logo. So with both of these spotlights selected, I'm going to hold the Alt key and I'm going to click and drag and pull closer to me. And then I will, still using the Move tool, let's deactivate this and let's move these vertically in Z. So I'll move these up, and then individually here I'm just going to use the rotation tool to aim them at the logo. I'm going to tap the C key here to jump out into my perspective view, so this is a little easier to see, and move this around, and you can see that gobo pattern as it projects onto the logo. I could blur that a bit by opening up the outer cone. So here's the outer cone value, 44 by default. And I think if I increase this, I open that up and you can see how that expands that pattern. Let's see, let's go ahead and use this move tool to pull that back and rotate that to aim a little bit more. So there we go. We're shining that onto our logo a bit. And then we'll do the same with our second of the spotlights here. And we'll just kind of aim this at our logo and open up that outer cone. Maybe move this away a little bit so we're not quite so intense. There we go. And finally, one nice thing is, in the real world, if we had these four lights in a room filled with fog machine fog, the intensity of the light would contribute to the volumetrics as well as to the brightness of the lights themselves. And there's only one intensity for the light. But with digital lights, we actually have the ability to control the intensity of the light independent from its contribution to the volumetric effects. So again, I will click in the viewport, tap C, so that we're looking through our lights. And in these second pair of lights, I don't want them shining so much in the volumetrics. It's getting hard to see things through all of these lines, so I'm going to click on the game controller here to just look at what our scene looks like. And for these second pair of lights that are shining on the logo, I'm going to go to the volumetric scattering intensity, and let's knock that down to like 200. And so they're still there, but they're not nearly as intense. Maybe even like knock that down to 50. There we go. So we're getting the gobo onto the logo. We're getting some of those spotlight lines breaking up here, but at the same time, we haven't changed the intensity of the light shining on the logo, and we've reduced how much these are detracting from the rest of the scene. So yeah, that's basically the setup. The one other thing to note is that when you first create these, you might see a bit of a pixelated pattern in the volumetric lights, and the resolution of the volumetric lighting itself is set by what's called a console command. So a lot of the rendering settings are defined by console commands that can be entered here in the console command panel. We can also enter them into our output log. So if I click output log, we see this, and it also has an entry. So I can clear the output log, and in the console, I'm going to type in volumetric, there we go, spelled correctly, and space grid. And if I down arrow a couple times, you'll see here in the middle, we've got this volumetric fog dot grid pixel size. So if I put a question mark after that here in the command itself and hit enter, then I see that I'm currently set to 2. Now I set this value so that I get nice smooth volumetric lights. I think by default that's 8. So if I hit my up arrow, I get that exact same command again. And I'm just going to shift and back arrow to select the question mark and change that to an 8. And I hit enter. Now this is the default value, so 8. And you can see how there's a bit of pixelation here. And so that's why you might see that when you create this yourself for the first time. And to adjust that, again, you're just going to type into the console command. Either it's always at the bottom of the screen, but you can also find it at the bottom of the output log. And again, I'm just typing in volumetric and space and grid, and I'm looking for down arrow, volumetric fog dot grid pixel size. And then if I do space 2, the smaller the number, the more detail, the more processing there is involved. But 2 seems to be a good balance between performance and clarity for me. I'm still getting a pretty good frame rate. I am using a 4090 board, but with all of this on and the cloners, I'm still getting over 90 frames per second, and that's certainly plenty good for our motion graphics work. So I hope this helps. I'm going to these 2 different levels, and I will save them out as a StormSync SPAC file. So if I choose from StormSync export, I've got the StormSync plugin activated. I will save these out along with all of their dependencies, and I will save that SPAC file out on the Discord server. So check in the description if you'd like to get in on the Discord server and be able to download this file and take a look at it. I'm working with Unreal Engine 5.5 right now, and so that should import into 5.5 or newer reasonably well. And hope that helps. If you have any questions, join the Discord server, ask questions there, put in comments. If this is useful and you want to see more, of course, do the whole like and subscribe thing. And so that's it. I hope this helps. And until next time, have fun.